What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 219 of the Cheesy Controller Podcast. I'm your host, Anton LaPlatte. Joining me, as always, we have the Mecha Stardew Valley, Chris Montalbano.
I got my first plat of 2023.
We got the most degenerate squid in the sea, Jalen Roberts.
Fuck Blizzard and fuck imperialism.
And we got the Ray Trace Durag, Madrid Devon.
Black people don't have to be an afterthought in your intellectual properties.
We got a jam-packed episode for you guys this week. We have a couple instances of the Coffee Controller podcast popping up. We got Final Fantasy 16 previews, Elden Ring DLC, Armored Core, and Ratchet and Clank to talk about.
All right, let's do it.
Really got to figure out these OBS problems. OBS won't let me be great.
OBS needs to figure out their problems, but we're forced to deal with it. Hey, look at that good dog.
Yeah, she's just in here, so. If you ever see my rug fucked up in the background, this is why. You're going to progressively see her fuck it up more to get comfortable in the back.
Yeah. Oh, man, I hate that. I'm like, it's flat. It's flat. you. If anything, you're just pulling out strings now. Sombra, you're catching strays because it's directed at you. It is. I want you to know that.
Talking to you specifically. You're not catching strays.
It's not even a stray.
This was aimed.
I'm not a dog catcher.
It's the magic
I'm just being
bullet.
honest.
But yeah, so we actually had some really significant news this week. We had like two major stories that like the big like starting off point of the story happening gave details on a bunch of other stuff. So the first one I want to talk about is Final Fantasy 16 previews landed. Press and influencers and media and everybody under the video game sun got a chance to play Final Fantasy 16 for like, I think it was like an hour-long demo. And some people went to Japan and got to meet the team. Some people were in New York. It seemed like they had a couple different preview events and the embargo just lifted and everybody was able to talk about what they played. And everything I heard was exactly what I needed to hear about that game. Did any of you guys keep up?
Though.
Huh?
That game looks dark as shit, though. Every
Yeah.
preview I've seen, that game looks dark as all hell.
Like visually dark.
Yes,
Like
yes,
it's not
dark. Like it's not until the
bright.
particle effects activates can I fucking see.
Yes, there's this trend of just making shit dark as fuck. Like, what's the point of having these amazing graphics when everything's just dark?
Can someone turn the lights on,
From
please?
games to anything Disney is putting out.
Disney doesn't understand color correction. Like, that's the
No.
difference. 16 is
It's all-
literally a dark-ass fucking room. Because when the particle effects activate, everything's bright. I can see the details of stuff for like a quarter of a second. That Peter Pan and Wendy trailer, that is, you don't understand. Did you all forget? This is what happens when you overwork your employees. They can't color correct because they're half dead.
Oof.
Like, there's no contrast. Like, how you gonna give me a black Tinkerbell that looks all fine and stuff, but you're not gonna give some proper contrast between the background and her skin tone so I can fucking see the expression on her face?
Yeah, it's fucked up.
Right.
But yeah, for the 16 looking dark, I think that is just this first kingdom. Like, they have really been keeping things. We haven't seen the main character in his 30s. We haven't really seen him in his teens. So we're supposed to see him in his teens, his 20s, and his 30s. And we haven't seen almost anything of his teen years. We've only seen his 20s, and we've only seen interactions with that one.
Gameplay was right.
Yeah, I mean just anything in general. Like they've showed
the character in his various ages. Like in the trailers.
Yeah,
Like you must be talking gameplay wise. Like of just like that segment. Right. And honestly, I haven't watched anything that's come out of it. Like I've heard some of the excerpts and people talk about it, but I'm trying to stay like away from like the gameplay and
Oh no, I watched it because I think
the videos.
that
I'm like, fuck.
demo-
I'm like, fuck it. When the demo comes, that's how I'm gonna know. I want to experience it firsthand because I don't want to get too much of that info and get too piped up. I'm trying to be like piped middle, you know, not piped down, but
16 is my most anticipated game, and even if
Single
it
pipe.
completely flops, we got Final Fantasy VII Rebirth right behind it to back it up. So
yeah, I did download Devil May Cry 5 Special Edition.
Good. Good. Let this be the storm that is
Ooh.
approaching.
And when I say that shit looks excellent, I haven't played it on PS5, so that shit looks crazy.
yeah, that RE engine. That's the thing about RE engine games. Like, you just give the games more power, and the games will reciprocate in frame rate and picture quality.
But I will also say it's not. But with picture quality, it comes with an art style and some art direction. It's not like we're using photorealism as a crutch. It has a style to it.
But I mean, even with the stuff that is going for photorealism, like the characters and some of the things in the
Stylized.
environment,
Stylized in a nice way.
Mm-hmm.
I think because Resident Evil has some like things that photorealism adds to the horror of the because RE engine.
But you can argue that makes it part of the art style at that point.
Yeah, that's that's the thing about it. It's still stylized. It's not like, hey, here's grass, here's this, here's that. It's like, oh no, you're using this extra fidelity to push your art style forward. That's why things look interesting.
But yeah, so
I'm trying to think of what the art style of RE engine is trying to bring that other than like realism.
No, it's not.
It gives you the power to have that range in art style, like
because Monster Hunter Rise, Resident Evil 7, 2 and 3 remake, and 8, and then 4 remake, Devil May Cry 5. I'm trying to think of just like the Street Fighter 6. The RE engine.
See, that's a good like.
What you're saying is the RE engine has like a lot of versatility.
Yeah,
because all of them are different.
Have actual art style and direction to them.
Yeah,
it's not like we're gonna go for. It's like this has X amount of pixels. This is 44K. It's like no. It's like this has a direction to it. Like a Resident Evil game looks like a fucking Resident Evil game, and a Monster Hunter game looks like a Monster Hunter game.
They do
it's not like that brown
look
better
with
like
more power. That's the thing. They're running at a higher resolution, and it looks better for it. Like, there's a difference between playing Resident Evil 7 on PS4 and playing Resident Evil 7 on PS5 because, and like, the only difference is higher resolution. Like,
I mean, I could have told you that just from like playing any Resident Evil game on the 4 and then playing it on my PC. Like, other than just like the frame rate, and then it just like.
Yeah, the RE engine takes the power that you're giving it, and like, yes, all these games have good art style and use photorealism like to assist in certain ways. Like, there are foliage sliders in the console version of Monster Hunter Rise. Like, they're using the power that they're given on whatever platform, because Monster Hunter Rise, until it came out on PC and then consoles and was playable in other ways, it looked good for a Switch game. Like, and I mean, it still looks good for a Switch game. It's just we know how much better that game can look and run when it's given the power to look and run. It's 4K 60. Not a lot of games are coming out where your graphics mode is a lock 60. Where you can go to fidelity and get a lock 60, and then performance is for 120. And that's still running above 1440p. So.
The RE engine.
Yep. The Reach for the Moon engine.
Oh, Reach for the Moon, yes.
Right.
Everybody thought it was a Resident Evil engine. But yeah, so 16 previews. Anybody got any more thoughts on 16 before we move on to the other big story that I got for this week?
I do have more thoughts about 16 and but it's not important. It's important, but I don't feel like going over it again. At this point, we would just be beating a dead horse.
Okay, so the other thing is we got the announcement that Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree DLC is now in development. And around this, we also got rumors of... So it was a leaker that leaked the Erdtree and Odyssey collection that was announced in the recent Nintendo Direct. And the reason that's significant that leaker had that information is because that's a Bandai Namco published game. So is Elden Ring. And what they're saying, this leaker is saying, is that Shadow of the Erdtree is probably going to be early next year because they didn't announce it with a date, and that we are actually going to be getting Armored Core 6 this year before Shadow of the Erdtree early next year.
Okay.
Yeah, because I mean, even the way they said it, it's like it's basically a year since the game dropped, and they're like, "Yeah, DLC now in development." It's like, what?
Right?
It wasn't already in development, which it probably was to an extent. Like they knew what they were going to do. They had this shit ready.
But now they got
need to actually
the whole
work on
team on it. Yeah.
Right. That's what I'm trying to take from it, as opposed to just like, all right, y'all, we got to create some DLC now.
Yeah, but also like with my personal work politics, I'm fine with it because I would like those employees to be paid more to work not as hard.
Yeah.
Because game devs are putting log half the damn time. Like.
Yeah.
Well, the good thing about that is, at least in Japan, the games industry has been increasing salaries.
Story about Elden Ring making a fuck ton of money, yet the devs are still barely being paid enough to live in this where they work. I feel like a story came out like.
And then I feel like right after that story came out. I feel like right after that story came out, Bandai Namco increased pay.
I hope so.
I feel like those are two things that we should confirm.
Yes. Those should be confirmed because I think Blizzard's about to do another round of layoffs.
Yeah, but that's a North American company. Yeah, North American.
That's been a games industry problem for decades.
Yeah, I'm not gonna Japan is not anywhere near as Japan isn't just as bad as North America is.
Make more profit if you don't pay your employees.
Right.
That has always been a fundamental
Japan
rule about
doesn't have a culture of layoffs. Like, the only time you see layoffs out of Nintendo is Nintendo of America.
They also have a culture of overworking.
Just because they don't have a culture of layoffs per se, they do things like forcing people out of companies and forcing them to, even worse, like quit or resign or retire.
Mm-hmm.
Bandai Namco has announced plans to raise its basic pay rate in Japan from April 2022. By about 435 USD per month. So that's a 50,000 yen per month increase of pay to Bandai Namco employees effective in April 2022.
Is that per employee or is that company-wide average? Because that's how companies get.
That's raising the basic pay rate in Japan by an average of 50,000 yen per month.
In Bandai Namco.
Yes.
Okay. Not just in Japan, just for that sole company.
Right. But that, in the case of Elden Ring, that's the company we're talking about. Because Bandai Namco is the company publishing Elden Ring. Like, FromSoft is developing it, and FromSoft, let me see.
But FromSoft isn't owned by Bandai.
Yeah, they're not owned by Bandai.
So why would that actually affect FromSoft?
Okay, this is Elden Ring publisher rewards devs with pay raise after incredible launch, and this is March 2022. So they're getting an increase of 25%, with the equivalent of around $500 extra every single month. So both developer and publisher have increased the base rate by $400 to $500 per month for everybody. And so,
sure, $150 to $125 a week. Taxes are going to eat the fuck out of that.
I mean, my bad.
I'd take an extra $500 a month, you know? That is not something I'd turn.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to be mad at a raise. That is a good thing a company is doing, and as long as they're not overworking, like,
right, that's the thing.
If it's a salary company is not making a salary people work over, like,
I understand
60
the
plus hours a week
side of like Microsoft and Blizzard and Activision and all of these American-based companies, but as far as Japan, like
not true. I just put a video in the Discord like 2 days ago about the anime industry. Anime's making more money than ever, but wages are still low.
Like, I mean, Japan is still
the anime industry is cooked.
Games industry and anime. Anime, I am not going to argue in any way, shape, or form that the anime, manga, like any of those industries are treating anybody in the chain except the executives at the top with any kind of respect. I'm not going to argue that. That is not at all what I'm saying. What I'm specifically talking about in this instance is the Japanese game development scene. Like, here's an example. Microsoft closed Lionhead, laid off all of the people employed by that, not just developers, not just like everybody. Like EA closed Visceral and laid off everybody. There are so many examples in North America. In Japan, Square Enix just closed Luminous Productions, and
did they close them or just ate them completely?
Well, I guess the thing is, they
were already owned by
they were already owned
so I guess
by
they
them,
did just
and
close
they
it.
closed the studio and just put everybody else somewhere else in the company, instead of laying off all the employees of Luminous Productions. Luminous Productions was closed, and there were no layoffs. It's just a different culture. Like, as far as...
I do feel like I do...
And there are so many stories coming out of Japan specifically because I'm following like the news in the industry. I'm seeing stories specifically about developers in Japan making more money because these games are like, they had the dark ages of like the PS2 JRPG, like cranking these things out.
The JRPG when it was a slur.
Right. Yoshi P, man. We gotta circle back around to that in a minute. But yeah, as far as like the working salary and pay and quality of life in Japan for a game developer, it is increasing. Because while the yen is decreasing in value, these companies are paying employees more because their games are being more successful. It's not like... And I feel like also the business practices, like, yeah, they have like set business models that are coming out of Japanese games. Like every game's coming out with pre-order DLC and a season pass and like content that was like probably could have been in the main game that they want you to pay for day one. Like there are those practices, but at the end of the day, in most cases, because Gundam Evolution exists, but they're not chasing the live service, games as a service. Like they look at Koei Tecmo. They are putting out, and Team Ninja, they're putting out these third-person character action, medium budget, medium investment, reusing assets from other games, like to make, because there are animations in Wolong that are ripped straight from Wild Hearts.
Right, the character creator.
Yeah,
for
the character
Neo,
creator, by the
for
way.
Neo 2, Wolong.
I have to put it on the Wulong. Wulong has a feature in their character creator that I need every other character creator to have, which is they'll actually tell you what the fuck the slider is affecting. Like, they will literally highlight what you're changing when you fuck with the sliders. Thank fucking God.
Right. Same exact shit as Neo 2 in Wild Hearts.
Yeah. So
they're not we not shamed.
Straight up hairstyles, it's like, oh, this hairstyle that I have on my character in Wild Hearts isn't in Wolong, but this other character hairstyle that is in Wolong is straight from Wild Hearts. So, and that's the thing. They're keeping costs low, like getting games out on a reasonable pace, not overworking people, because like instead of having two different people make the same relative animation for the same relative type of enemy in two different games, why don't they reuse it across the board? And I mean, that's things that are cutting back on development time, on costs, and these games are making
right. And honestly, if it's broke, you don't have to fix it. You know, like if you want to take that time and really innovate, you can, and then that could be the next crop of new shit that you reuse and recycle. Right. You know, but it's just figuring out which game you want to use that for.
There are bones in Wolong that are probably being reused from the early PS4 days of Neo 1. And so I'm
always for the improvement of workers' conditions.
Right. And I feel like in Japan, specifically at
the companies that we named.
Right. At Nintendo, Bandai Namco, From Software, just using those specific
that we're talking about.
Right.
Because that's my thing. It's like, I don't want to put an industry-wide blanket statement, because the moment you start making blanket statements, that's when more horror stories come out.
I mean, at this point, we are talking about companies that can do all of these things.
Right. And this is just in terms of getting paid more, not necessarily about working conditions.
Right.
Because there have been horror stories coming out there of like being traumatized in the office and that type of shit. But yeah, it's always a push and pull of these things. Like anytime capitalism is involved, it's going to inherently taint the business, which is going to bleed and trickle down into the workers.
Right.
Something, no ethical consumption, something.
Separating the worker from the means of production.
And from the products of their own labor.
Hey, man. Let's just make AI do it.
Oh, absolutely. Fuck not. That's just that accelerated into being shit.
That's like moving towards a world where like it's like you have COVID taste buds. All your food is just bland.
And then also most of the
just like AI in your mouth
don't understand art anyway. Like heck, and also you can tell when the artist loves what they're doing. Like you could tell that somebody was like, I'm gonna make you love this little motherfucker as much as I do.
Yeah,
you can tell.
Yeah. AI would never be able to paint on a canvas and add the right amount of textures for each like color and paint stroke stroke, and just like those little details that are so inherently human and so imperfect.
And it's not going to be able to express the range of creativity.
My theory on where the progression of AI is going to be is it's not that AI is going to be replacing people, it's that people using AI to assist are going to replace the people not using AI to assist. In a lot of fields,
back to an old Marx theory where it's like as the tools get better, the expectations of the worker will not lower but will increase to compensate those tools.
Yep.
You know, so like for example, if you were writing letters by hand, if you could only do 100 letters per day. But then once we got keyboards, it's not like you still had to do 100 letters per day and do it faster. Now you have to do 1,000 because you can do those letters so much faster. Workers' rights.
Technology isn't about making work easier. It's about how much more you can produce.
Yeah, it's about increasing the productivity.
How can we make it easier to exploit you? If you will.
Just hearing increasing production just struck a nerve. So we're going to have to talk about video games.
Right? It really, it's like, fuck.
Damn. I mean, that almost made me think like back to when they were talking about what is the
automation?
The new almost. Fuck. I am having a brain fart right now. The new development tool that is that they just came out with that the Matrix had a demo about.
Unreal Engine 5.
Yeah, that was saying that it can make it easier to make video games. What did we hear it's easier to make video games, or did the developers who are making the video games say, I am now going to have to make more video games in the less time, in the same amount of time?
I mean, that's up to the expectations of the publisher, honestly.
Right.
And we already know the expectations of the publishers now.
Well, shit. When you put it like that, damn.
Game devs, we need fucking unions. We need more game dev unions in America specifically.
Right, for sure.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
Also, fuck Blizzard.
Shit, tech unions.
Heck, every industry.
Tech unions.
Every unions industry needs unions. Also, remember, with unions, we get to lobby. And with lobbyists, we can write better and more effective workers' rights laws.
Mm-hmm.
Unions. In America specifically.
There's been another episode of the Coffee Controller Podcast.
The podcast within a podcast. But yeah, so JRPG as an insult, the thing I wanted to circle back to. So I actually have who is this? VG 24/7. I have this story that has the exact quotes where Naoki Yoshida says that he doesn't want people to. It says, quote, Yoshida doesn't like the term JRPG, meaning Japanese RPG, and goes on to explain that his first time that he heard it, he felt it was a discriminatory term. So,
because it was.
Right, at the time. This is, I'm looking for where he talked about the time frame of like 15 years ago.
It was about 7-gen. You know, when Capcom was like destroying all their franchises to try and capture the Western audience of a bunch of people who only play Call of Duty, Modern Warfare, and sports games.
All right. So let's see.
And also the fact that you got a bunch of American game journalists from that era trying to come back here and try and cover their ass while also showing exactly the fact that they were doing it.
All right, so one of the quotes is, it certainly existed before this period. We were using JRPG to categorize games on RPG site the year it was founded in 2006, but 5 or so years later, the way the word was being used was shifting towards negative. So...
Really?
Just looking at 2011... Like 2011, I feel like there was a sentiment of people didn't want like the level of quality of JRPGs we were getting at the time.
Even because about the quality of JRPGs, they were calling those games weeb shit.
Yeah,
like it was one of those things where it's like
they would be discarded and just like if you told somebody like, "Hey, you got to check out this game as a JRPG," there was a long time people would not. That they are not interested off rip, like they don't care what it is, like how
it's crazy. Like everybody didn't, like most people didn't grow up playing Pokemon. As soon as like I played, Pokemon,
that wasn't a term that wasn't attached to Pokemon.
Right.
We're talking about
consider those Pokemon-esque games, right? But then when I finally tried Final Fantasy, I was like, oh, this is basically like the same shit.
We're talking about in like the 2006 to 2011 era. Right. So like, yes, probably when we were younger and playing JRPGs, because all of us have a foundation of Pokemon starting off, and then that getting us into other JRPGs. And so, but at that time, not having that term, then having that term kind of come around in 2006 and backdate, because at the time, Chrono Trigger wasn't called a JRPG. Final Fantasy VI wasn't called a JRPG. And so...
You just called them RPGs, or...
Right.
But I will... Yeah.
So in 2006, having the term come into, the common vernacular and then retroactively applied to all of these things in a positive way for all of us who have positive experiences with those things retroactively, from 2006 to 2011, that term, the things that came out from 2006 to 2011 didn't have that level of quality because of things that were going on in the games industry in Japan at the time, and
also, a lot of outlets was using it to basically using it as xenophobia, because you also got to remember this was the height of where the most popular game in America was literal military propaganda.
I mean, you were coming out with a time where Halo, Gears of War, Modern Warfare were at their height.
Modern fucking Warfare.
I mean, but the first person indoor third person shooter are at the height of their careers at this point. Right. Between 2006 and 2011.
In that era, Japanese games tried to, in certain cases, like Capcom had a very dark period of trying to emulate Western games for Western audiences. And so during this entire time, with all of that context of all these things that we knew happened, JRPG became a negative term for that time period, and now it's flipped again back to being a positive. There are people that it's I came up on a foundation of JRPGs, and now I'm an adult, and I'm I'm a modern gamer, I'm a developer, I'm a even retro gamer.
That in America they had the exact same sentiment about fucking anime.
Yeah. That's the thing. For a long time, anime was just
this shit is so crazy. It's because us, well, the type of people that we are. It's just always been there. Anime.
Right.
These types of RPGs.
When it came to this, I thought it was a JRPG just for the same reason why champagne is champagne. I'm over here. It's like Scotch. I was like, oh, it's a JRPG because it came from Japan. It's a CRPG because it's on the computer. It's a tabletop RPG because it's on the tabletop. But, but then also we were kids just playing fucking video games, and we aren't haters. That's another important
true.
thing.
I mean, at this point, we were just, we are kids. We didn't know the hate that was coming behind all of this.
Right.
Shit.
We're not informed being racist.
Exactly.
About it over a fucking video game.
Then if you go back and read articles about those games back then, you can fucking see it. If you read Americans games journalism, you go back and read that shit from that era, you're like, oh shit. Shit.
Right.
Even now you got game journalists from that era literally falling over themselves, proving them right about it, trying to quote unquote distance themselves from it. Heck, somebody on Twitter just pulled up an old X-Play clip where basically that happened.
Oh man, Adam Sessler.
I like how he got ratioed by a tweet that said, just say the slur, Adam. We know you.
Damn.
Hold on, let me see if I can find it. Hold on.
Say the slur, JRPG. Yeah, I don't know. It's wild. Black people fuck with you. That's what it boils down to. That's what it fucking boils down to.
They put adult cartoons, black shows, and anime.
I'm telling, Pokemon, fucking Golden Sun, Chrono Trigger, Final Fantasy
4 through 6,
Dragon Quest.
What I was listening to today, but somebody brought up the concept of Golden Sun HD 2D, and I was like, that would actually fucking slap.
Fucking slap! Come on now.
See, but that's the thing about it is when it comes to art and media, we're just lovers. We just love to interact with the shit. We don't sit around being fucking haters. But then if you look
I can't say that. I can't say that though, because they're like black people will roast on some shit. They'll also fuck with it though.
We will roast on things we love. We roast out of endearment. What the fuck are you talking about? You look like a pleasure to be around as a fucking roast.
Oh, Cloud haircut having that. Like, how do you know who Cloud is?
Like, even now we still make fun of people's like, you only watch Dragon Ball Z. Like a motherfucker.
It took us a while to get to that point because that used to be you don't watch Dragon Ball Z.
Right?
You're not a real anime watcher. It's like, what?
Please watch something else.
I dodged that discourse by just not bringing it up until post Dragon Ball Fighters is out, and then it's like, well, I watched all this other shit though, so we're good. Got my bona fides that don't involve Dragon Ball.
I'm saying
and I can
right
appreciate
now,
some Akira.
I don't make the rules here.
I can appreciate my fair share of Akira Toriyama shit. I did read Dr. Slump, so.
Hence why y'all shouldn't have any reservations about putting black people in your video games. It shouldn't be hard. It shouldn't be an afterthought, and you should be able to execute it. If you need black consultants,
one more thing is Yoshi P really needs to look up his fucking history because black people were all over fucking Europe because of a little thing called the Roman goddamn Empire. Multiculturalism is a side effect of imperialism. So if you were in an empire, you had people of various skin tones because empires had a bad habit of conquering everything.
Yep.
And also the Moors, which were black, did conquer Spain because the time period he's talking about, Mansa Musa was walking around fucking up people's economies.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yoshi P watched a period piece and saw no black people and thought this is what past. This is what history is.
I'm telling you exactly what it was. It was just they didn't even think about it. It was subconscious. That's what makes it worse. It was subconscious, and then when it was pointed out, hey, there's probably no black people. It was like, oh man, it's set in Europe. They weren't there, and that's how it happened.
Right,
and then they were like, okay, let's run with that. I know exactly.
History.
I don't want to be this fucking guy, but the world does not like black people. It is just it is very apparent. We are it is we live in North America. Yes, we know the struggles. Y'all know the struggles of what y'all have gone through.
No, we made sure you were educated, Chris.
Yeah.
But at the same time, Asians are almost damn near. I mean, from the stories that you see all over the internet and just from people that I have met, going to Japan, it's just as fucking bad. They're just as racist. They just
Also, you got to remember is Japan specifically as a country is very xenophobic because remember the Iron Curtain where Japan actually interacted with the rest of the world didn't fall until the 1800s, if not 1900s. Japan has not actually interacted with the rest of the world for that long. And
right.
It's been in the middle stuff because remember, Japan was also an empire. They were an imperialist nation.
You ask Korea and China how they feel about Japan, and they're going to tell you something.
Right.
Imperialism.
We live in a post rebrand world, but when you are
there was a time skip. That
when you are fed a constant diet of anti-blackness, right? That shit it becomes what you know, right? And then you have that bias, and then if you're already biased against other people anyway, and then you see these people portrayed in a negative light, it just makes the situation fucking worse.
Right.
Not at all.
Think about it Game of Thrones it still is one of the biggest properties in media, and that is a significantly the entirety of the original Game of Thrones is severely whitewashed as far as extras, as far as just not portraying having any people of color. And so when we are exporting
you can count on your one hand the amount of black people in there.
But then also you got to remember Game of Thrones is based off of the War of Roses, which remember Britain was conquered by the Romans. So therefore, a lot of that is them trying to, how should I say, pretend they didn't get their ass whooped by the fucking Romans. Like, a lot of that is a reaction to that. That's part of why they went all colonialism in the first place, as a reaction to the fact that they were colonized by an empire.
Wow, this is starting to sound like Aaron's whole fucking thing.
Right, it's almost like imperialism.
In Attack on Titan.
Like violence that doesn't end.
Because I'm gonna keep it a buck with you. I am not on Aaron's side. I want that nigga to fucking die. I hate him. He's full of shit. He's a fucking.
He has failed to escape the cycle of violence.
Right, you're going to perpetuate it. And then people sympathizing with him, I'm like, so you would also perpetuate that same system?
Aaron?
And if you want to explore the world so fucking much, and you want your friends to be able to go out and witness all the other wonders of the world, you're going to fucking step on it? You're not just destroying people, you're fucking up the rest of the world. You want your people to be free, you are effectively prisoning them to that island forever. He's
cycle of violence. You cannot create a better future if you design yourself to that cycle of violence. You gotta break the cycle of violence.
And you want your friends to clean up your mess? Fucking selfish. You're a coward.
Oh, he's definitely a coward, because if he wasn't a coward, he would have told Mikasa he loved her already.
Right. I hope he goes to hell with gasoline draws.
Damn.
I'm an Eren Yeager hater.
The entire bloodline of the Yeagers, except for his dead aunt that he never met, and technically Mikasa, are the only ones who aren't literally in hell with burning draws. That's it. And technically Zeke's mom, because she was a revolutionary trying to fight imperialism. She was cool. But outside of that,
we'll see if I change my mind when that ends.
Bitch.
But I'm not. I don't think I am.
No, you're not.
I'm not.
You're just gonna get cemented further.
It's probably just gonna piss me off, whatever his justification is.
No, that's the thing about, once again, it's that cycle of violence. You cannot actually save your people if you're willing to resign yourself to enacting that same cycle. Because that was the whole thing about when they found out the truth. They're like, wait, if the Edenians brought the Marleyans to the brink of extinction, how the fuck did that happen? And how did they end up locked up on a fucking island in a city with walls in that gilded cage of theirs? It doesn't make sense, because imperialism is a continuous cycle of violence. And remember, the whole reason why the Marleyans were weaponizing the Edenians in the first place to stop the imperialism of other nations. It's almost like imperialism is a goddamn problem.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Coffee Controller Podcast.
The episode we're not on Twitch. Oh man, at least we're not getting rated by bots calling us woke. Because we know that's a slur. Because we know that's a fucking.
As defined by DeSantis' lawyer, woke is believing there's systematic issues in this country that needs to be solved. That's literally how the lawyer defined it. Bar for fucking
of DeSantis?
Yeah, his fucking lawyer.
That's fucking wild.
Bar for bar, as believing there's systematic issues in this country that need to be solved. Bar for fucking bar.
Shit, not even in this country. Shit, that shit's it's not limited. It's unlimited.
I mean, it's everywhere, but
I was trying to transition. We've been on the right side of history a little too long. So, humanity. I talked about it last week, but I sent all of you the link to play it. It's also available on Steam Deck if you want to try it on Steam Deck. That is also a viable way to try it. Or just PC, because it's just on Steam. But PS4, PS5, Steam Deck, the demo is only available until Monday. And, I think y'all should at least...
It's only available until Monday?
Yeah. Because it's a limited beta. The game comes
tomorrow?
out in May.
Day after tomorrow.
Yeah. That's why I'm telling y'all to play it.
Okay, I'll download and play it.
All right, that's cool.
Since they're gonna fucking send it away, you're gonna banish the damn demo?
I think they're gonna bring it back. It's actually a beta for them
It's a glorified beta?
No, it's straight up like a beta. It's not a glorified beta. It's straight up hey, we have these user-generated content tools, and we need to push them live to make sure they work so that when we put out the game with them, they don't instantly break. But them
Was it on Steam?
It's on Steam. Humanity, I think I put a link in the general games Shadow Discord where you can click and it has a Steam button where you can just click over, but I sent the PlayStation link for anybody who wants to play it on PS4 or PS5. But I say try, I think it has like 8 levels. Play like at least 5 because they're not. It's not like it's the first 5 levels of the game. It's like a sampling of like, here's maybe 2 levels from the first world. Here's like 2 levels from the second world. Here's like different levels from different parts of the game. And so it's with that. And I was actually listening to a podcast with some of the people who are on the development team for the game. Because it's the same people who made Res Infinite, who are the same people that made Tetris Effect, and now Humanity's their next game. And they announced it a while ago, they went quiet, and now they're back, and it's coming out in the next few months.
Are you excited?
Oh yeah, I'm definitely there day one. Like, it's the one thing that I wish I knew somebody with a PSVR 2 so I could borrow it and play it on PSVR 2.
Got to be the change you want.
No, I can't. I can't.
Don't.
I can't.
Okay, yeah. Well, I'll definitely give it a try. I don't know what it's going to be, and I'm excited to find out.
So I've never played Lemmings, but it seems like Lemmings.
I played a Lemmings-like game before, though. You played multiple Lemming-type games before, though. Heck, one of your favorite PSP games is basically Lemons.
What game is that?
Patapon, I believe it's called.
I see Patapon.
That's like a rhythm game, though, right?
Right. Yeah, Patapon I appreciated more as a rhythm game than a like. And I don't feel like this shares many qualities with Patapon. Even thinking about it, because this is like manipulating the flow of a crowd like water. It's kind of like physicsy in that way. Like, yeah, I feel like it's a physics-based puzzler where instead of fluid dynamics, it's a shit ton of people dynamics.
I feel like that sounds just like set dressing to me. You know?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's what I'm saying.
Let's play it and find out.
Yeah, you got a Steam Deck, and it'll run on there. Check it out tonight after the recording.
Check it out tomorrow because I have a Dungeon in 14 that I need to do. Because speaking of imperialism, fuck that guy. I'm happy you blew your brains out, you little bitch. Wanting to let your people starve and freeze because of pride. Fuck you and your mother.
That's fair.
Now y'all know where
Everything
I'm
you
at.
just said was fucking fair.
The Garlemald arc.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, when that scene was coming up, I was like, this is about to get dark, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I was like, nah. Oh. Whoa. You coward.
Right.
You can go fix your problems, but no. I have to hold on to my brainwashing.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
You know how it was easy for them to get brainwashed because they already were.
Imperialism is a bitch. Why we keep getting up back here? Imperialism is bad. And in any show or movie, the Empire is the bad guys. As cool as their outfits are, they're the bad guys. Remember that.
The consolidated drip. Yeah.
Heck, but that's how they used to legitimize themselves. That's their buy-in. That's why every empire, and I mean every empire, looks. Why do you think armor looks fucking sick? But it's lame as hell when you're serving a king in an empire. But if you're a regular person wearing it, fucking drippy. Copy controller.
All right. Well, yeah, we're at about the point, like, we've gotten through the notes that I had together. I wanted to see if there were any things, gaming, any stories, any games you guys have played that you guys just want to, like, throw out there, talk about.
I platinumed Ratchet and Clank, A Rift in Time.
Let's go.
This game. So I want to just say, like, I ripped apart. Yeah, my bad. I beat it and forgot about it.
Yeah. I might look back for that platinum. Is it tough?
No. It's actually a solid, like, you got to go through. There's like, you remember the couple of levels where you had to hit the crystals to kind of go into the alternate dimension?
Yeah.
That one I missed, so I had to do New Game Plus. But doing New Game Plus unlocks 2 weapons. One is like a pixelator that like turns anything that you shoot into pixels. Like my one gripe with this,
I think those are the 2 weapons I was missing too.
Yeah, that you have to do New Game Plus to actually do that one too. I was like,
fuck.
But it's like that one, like that was my one gripe with this game that I was like, man, they don't have a sheepinator. They don't have like the disco like ball that makes like your enemies dance. Like it was weird. And then like I unlocked the rhino that like opens up a rift that like you can get like as you upgrade it, you can get Jack and Dexter to shoot down and like it hits all your enemies. Like they have different PlayStation, like I think there's like a Spider-Man like thing that you can like shoot in the sky and Spider-Man's like something from the Spider-Man universe comes down and hits all of the enemies. And I was like, this is actually kind of fucking cool. Like the weapons, like at New Game Plus, there's one that's like the bouncing ball. That one's like a whatever. It's kind of like a grenade thrower, and then the other one's like turns anything, even like the giant dinosaur like monsters that you'd be fighting in the swamp. Shrubs. Yeah, it turns it just like into like pixel and like turns the music into pixels and everything. I was like, the weapons as you continue forward are
Does it make
really
them take
good.
More damage? Like when they're pixels?
Yeah, it's like ongoing damage. So you like as you upgrade it, it's like ongoing damage as long as they're pixelated. And it's like a shotgun. Yeah. And then and then as you like once you go into Jesus Christ. Once you go into New Game Plus, you get what is like if you upgraded all your weapons in the previous run, you can upgrade them into like for 1 bolt for an Omega weapon. And that you can upgrade them again and make them even stronger because, like, New Game Plus, the enemies hit and they can, like, just soak up all the damage. You can probably, like, if you're using last run's weapons without upgrading it again, it takes a lot of bullets. So, like, it's worth actually doing the New Game Plus. Like, I was having a good time. I was, like, just to get the rest of the trophies.
Do you have to play on a certain difficulty to get the...
You can pick whatever difficulty you want. I just did the same thing as normal. I was just like, I'm just going to do normal and try to get the rest of the trophies I got just because I want to get through the game and get to that one BlizzCon planet just to get that one trophy. Because that was that one and the shield one that I had to do where you can like, you had to suck up all the, like, you had to block all the bullets like Reinhardt and then shoot it back at people.
Oh, yeah. I definitely like was not using that fucking shield.
Yeah, I didn't do it until damn near the end of the game. I was like, oh, I didn't buy this. I just now saw that was a trophy. And that's when I did New Game Plus, and then I got it. And I was like, okay, cool. Yeah, I mean, it's a very easy and enjoyable platinum to get, I will say.
Okay.
Now, are you looking forward to a new Ratchet and Clank game?
God, I hope another Ratchet and Clank game. This game was so good.
Would you want a Rivet and Kit game instead?
My thing is they didn't use Kit in the end of the game. Like once you beat the game, you were playing as Rivet. You never like saw her again. You just played by yourself. It was Ratchet and Clank, and then Rivet. That was it. You never got Kit back. So it was
for like the New Game Plus. She didn't come back, or like the end of the game.
Once you beat the game, it can ask you if you want to go back before you fought the final boss. And I was like, yeah, sure, I'll do it. And kind of, I cleaned up trophies there, and then I had to do New Game Plus because they Insomniac patched out to where you can go up an elevator on a certain planet to get some of those things that I needed to get. So I like had to do New Game Plus to go up that elevator again. But like, yeah, you never saw Kit ever again after you beat the final boss. Which is, I mean, unless I did something wrong, which is fair. But I was like, damn, I miss my homie.
You got the platinum. None of us.
I got the I got the platinum.
Right.
So I don't know. I was like, but that was weird to me that you could do. You were Ratchet and Clank, and they built the story up for like Rivet and Kit to kind of become friends and be that same duo. And then once you beat the game, so I'm hoping that like the next game they do, and they'll go into the Lombax lore, because that was kind of like there was an underlining story of like Lombax lore. These two Lombaxes they finally meet for the first time, and then Ratchet's on this planet that has like old Lombax like lore deep within the planet that you're like, okay, this is kind of cool. So I'm hoping that the next game kind of goes into that, and Kit will be there, because Kit was actually a really cool character to have.
Yeah, I thought Kit.
Yeah, I did. I mean, Clank was kind of that like nervous, kept you in line, versus Ratchet's like just like wild, I'm gonna do whatever I want kind of character. So like Rivet and Kit kind of like would balance each other out just as much. So I am very excited for another Ratchet and Clank game. They did a really, really good job after the very bad PSP, PS3 kind of games.
Yeah. The a rift apart.
Yeah.
Yes.
Rift in time.
I wanted to say, I was like, no, that's not it. But yeah, I definitely enjoyed that game too. So I'd like to check it out. We'll go for that platinum at some point.
Yeah, I might re-download it. I just cleaned up some space on my SSD because
I'm gonna get an SSD.
Hey, they're cheap right now.
I'm getting
4th gen, 5th gen's about to come out. 4th gen is cheap right now.
Yep, and Gen 4 is like, technically it's faster than the internal on the PS5, so Gen 4 is like, I don't even think it supports Gen 5.
Nothing supports Gen 5 right now.
Okay. Oh, did anybody see the LeBron controller and faceplates?
Oh, yeah, I did.
Did y'all like them?
I mean,
it looked cool.
I'm not a LeBron fan, so...
Like that.
By no means,
right.
But...
And then looking at the other people that they talked about that they're doing this collaboration with, I'm like, none of these things are speaking to me, but at least we're finally getting special edition, like the fact that they're selling it as faceplates and a controller and not a console bundle, like this, they're going in the direction I need. I just need them to start doing game-specific special edition faceplates and consoles.
Right. I'm surprised that hasn't started happening yet.
Yeah. Because, I mean, we're 2 years in. We're getting to the point that, like, they'll probably drop, I'd say within 3 or 4 months after the LeBron one is, like, out there, we're going to get at least our first game one.
Okay. Yeah. That'd be dope.
Because I feel like this is them testing the water with something that won't necessarily be that big of a splash, but if it sells well, then we're going to be off to the races.
Right. Like, I already like the black colorway and those little pops of color. It is a nice touch with the graffiti type art.
You still have the white faceplates on yours, right?
Right. I'm thinking it's getting close to that time for me to switch it up.
Yeah, I
mean, get a second controller
faceplates and SSD and a black controller. You know, you can't go wrong.
No, I mean, I kind of want the red one.
You
can't go wrong with the black controller
or the purple one. I don't know.
Ooh, the purple one's cool too.
What faceplates would you do? You're not going to do black
for the faceplate.
I want black faceplate.
Yeah, I love my black faceplates, black controller color, but
I need my PlayStation 5 to match my PC case.
I don't know. Maybe I'll wait it out for like another custom edition faceplates and just get a new controller.
Yeah, I mean, that's always a solid thing. You got a backup controller for whenever, you know.
Right, because you know these shits die quick as fuck.
Yep, I got this spare DualSense right here. I don't really use it, but it's in case of emergency. It's always at the ready. All right, anybody got one more thing before we wrap?
Oh, I did enjoy the Wolong Fallen Dynasty demo. What I played of it felt like an improvement from the first one for sure. Like I'm more into the game now. I'm actually planning on getting it. So it's safe to say it sold me.
Yeah, I have access to Wolong. It's just not high on my priority list. Like honestly, I'm just thinking about playing more Theater Rhythm.
Yeah, shit, that's real too. But yeah, like kind of the multiplayer aspect makes me more invested.
Yeah, I feel that. Theater Rhythm has multiplayer stuff, but I realize that Darren's playing on such a higher level than me that it wouldn't even like make sense to even attempt playing anywhere in the vicinity of Darren.
How does their multiplayer work? Is it like a versus?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's a 4-player party versus, but you can like invite friends and then open it up public. Still a noob at this shit. But yeah, remember, until next time, you can follow us all collectively around the internet, cheesycontrollerpodcast.com. Follow me on Twitter at Anton63X's. Chris, where can people find you?
You can follow me at Chef and Chris.
Or find them in the Discord.
Or find me in the Discord.
Jalen.
Squid Bishop, but mostly in the Discord.
Madrid.
Speedwagon X.
All right. This has been a Know It's Good production. The video version is edited by Lana Twisted Mind. The audio version is edited by Akumasanti. Until next time, keep it cheesy.